Still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like, no course correction at all. They're going further and further into la-la land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys. And so then a place like Austin becomes attractive.
Let me tell you what the real problem, I didn't realize it till I left.
What?
That everybody's too busy tapping themselves on the back.
There's a lot of that.
When the fires happened, those 3 women or whatever the chief and whatever, I'm looking at them and I'm like, look at them.
Yeah.
They all got gel in their hair. They all got a tattoo on their neck. God forbid they can't be cool for just 1 minute. God forbid. And that's the problem you have out there.
Joe Rogan isn't letting up on Gavin Newsom anytime soon. The outspoken comedian and powerhouse podcaster says Newsom is wrecking California and must be stopped before the disaster gets even worse. On a fiery episode of his show, Rogan shredded Newsom over the spiraling chaos and even torched his pipe dream of becoming president. As always, smash that subscribe button and let's dive right in.
But it's also, there's places that sort of rest on their laurels too much. And whenever that happens, it's easy for another place to rise up that offers something more interesting. So like Los Angeles was always Los Angeles. And like when Gavin Newsom talks about California, it's like, you know, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. California has all this industry. Hey, fucko, they're all thinking about moving.
Thank God.
The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move.
Rogan is absolutely right. Countless individuals and major corporations have packed up and fled California. And the reasons are impossible to ignore. What was once the Golden State has now become a place people are desperate to escape. The rising crime rate has left entire communities feeling unsafe, with smash-and-grabs, homelessness, and violent incidents dominating headlines. Add to that the crushing burden of exorbitant taxes, where the state takes more and more from hard-working people while giving back very little, and you have a recipe for a mass exodus. Then there's the infamous California bureaucracy, a maze of endless regulations, red tape, and government overreach that strangles businesses before they can even get off the ground. It's no wonder so many are choosing Texas, Florida, or Nevada instead. California's decline isn't just a warning sign. It's a full-blown cautionary tale of what failed leadership looks like.
If it was like every business could instantly pull up roots and replace everything and have everything running in a week at the other place, they'd all be gone. They'd all be gone. It's too expensive. It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bullshit with all the permits and all the. What California does is overregulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible.
Rogan himself had no choice but to pack up and leave California, a state he once proudly called home. He wasn't alone. Conservative voices like Ben Shapiro and the entire Daily Wire operation also bolted, citing the hostile climate for both business and personal freedom. And it's not just media personalities making the exit. Even Hollywood, the very industry that put California on the global map, is collapsing under the weight of the state's broken system. Film producers once loyal to Los Angeles now prefer shooting in Georgia, Texas, or even overseas, where tax breaks are generous, crime is lower, and red tape doesn't choke creativity. When the entertainment capital of the world starts bleeding out its own lifeblood, you know the rot runs deep. California's leaders can spin the narrative all they want, but the mass departure of talent and business tells the real story.
They still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a fucking disaster. It's still a woke shit show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like, no course correction at all. They're going further and further into la-la land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys. And so then a place like Austin becomes attractive.
Rogan hasn't let up in tearing into Gavin Newsom, especially over California's obsession with woke nonsense. A few years back, the state passed a ridiculous law mandating department stores with over 500 employees to create a gender-neutral toy section, because apparently that was the crisis California needed to solve. As if that was enough, lawmakers also pushed through a law allowing children to conceal their decision to transition from their own parents, cutting families out of life-altering choices. These aren't isolated policies. They're part of a larger trend where ideology trumps common sense, and government micromanages every aspect of life. To many residents, it feels less like freedom and more like social engineering. It's no wonder families and businesses are packing up, heading to states where leaders focus on safety, opportunity, and growth instead of pushing bizarre laws that drive people out of the so-called Golden State.
People are very reasonable. And Austin, the best thing about Austin is it's a blue city in a red state. So it's like balanced. Like, this is a saying they have out here: keep Austin weird and surrounded. So Austin is surrounded by rednecks with guns, and like it keeps the tone more medium. Like the Austin liberals, they're much more just left of center people, like we are. You know what I mean?
Austin is a fascinating case study, especially when stacked up against California. Yes, Austin leans liberal. Nobody's denying that. But here's the difference. They haven't plunged headfirst into the kind of radical, overreaching woke policies that have wrecked California. Austin still embraces progressive values, but it does so with balance and pragmatism. You don't see lawmakers forcing bizarre social experiments down people's throats or driving businesses away with crushing taxes and regulations. Instead, Austin has become a hub for innovation, tech, and culture, drawing in entrepreneurs and creators who might have once called California home. It's liberal without being suffocating, progressive without being performative. And that's exactly why Austin thrives while California bleeds residents and corporations. In short, Austin proves it can hold on to liberal ideas without destroying your state with the kind of woke overreach Gavin Newsom has made California famous for.
Let me tell you what the real problem, I didn't realize it till I fucking left.
What?
That everybody's too busy tapping themselves on the back.
There's a lot of that.
When the fires happened, those 3 women or whatever the fuck, the chief and whatever, I'm looking at them and I'm like, look at them.
Yeah.
They all got gel in their hair. They all got a tattoo on their neck. God forbid they can't be cool for just one fucking minute. God forbid. And that's the problem you have out there.
Comedian Joey Diaz didn't hold back either, ripping into Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass for their disastrous handling of the Palisades fires. In typical Diaz fashion, he cut straight through the nonsense, accusing California's so-called leaders of caring more about polished images than the lives and safety of the very people they're supposed to protect. While homes burned and families scrambled for safety, Diaz pointed out that Newsom and Bass seemed more focused on press conferences, photo ops, and keeping up appearances than actually solving the crisis. To him, it was just another example of California's leadership being out of touch, prioritizing optics over action. His rant struck a chord with many who feel abandoned and betrayed by politicians who talk endlessly about compassion, yet deliver little when disaster strikes. For Diaz, it wasn't just comedy. It was a brutal dose of truth.
This is my idea, and it's great, and it's going to work. It's not working.
You're right.
But you're too stupid. I say, you know what? This ain't working. Their egos are so big, they don't have the heart to go, this ain't working.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But I don't think it's entirely their fault. It is their fault, but the culture rewards that kind of behavior. This is the problem with having protected classes of people, whether it's gay, lesbian, whatever it is, whether it's your nationality. If you have a protected class of people where you're not allowed to criticize the protected class of people, then they become, Vivek Ramaswamy talked about this in a very interesting way. He's like, it's the tyranny of the underprivileged, or is that what he called it? The tyranny of the marginalized.
And that's exactly what Gavin Newsom has done with California's homelessness crisis. He's practically turned the homeless into a protected species. Any honest criticism of the policies that fuel this disaster is immediately shut down, while the actions and choices that often lead people to the streets are brushed under the rug. Instead of accountability, California has embraced a culture of entitlement where failing to take responsibility is rewarded with endless taxpayer-funded programs. As a result, homelessness has exploded, spreading across sidewalks, underpasses, and public parks. People no longer feel the need to safeguard their money or make wise choices because the state sends a message that if you lose everything, the government will pick up the tab. What should have been a call for compassion has instead become a blueprint for dependency. And Californians are now paying the heavy price for Newsom's failed experiment.
The idea is that this group of people, whether they're trans people or gay people, they get, above everything. Everything you do is amazing. Oh my God, you're so fabulous. Because no one wants to be thought of as homophobic or transphobic. So you pretend that everything they do is incredible. And so you're going to be the best firefighter ever. Like, can you carry a burning man out of a building? Girl, you don't have to. If he was in that building, he shouldn't have been in that building in the first place. If I have to carry him out, we got other problems. A literal firefighter said that in response to, could she carry her husband out of the building?
One of the fundamentals of firefighting, something so basic it should never be overlooked, is the physical strength to carry an unconscious or weakened victim out of danger. Fires don't wait for ideal conditions, and victims don't conveniently weigh less in crisis. This isn't meant as a slight against female firefighters or anyone pursuing profession, but it's a hard truth. If your job is to save lives, then you must be strong enough to do it under extreme conditions. Firefighting demands more than courage. It requires raw physical capability to haul a full-grown adult, sometimes while wearing heavy gear and navigating through smoke, flames, and collapsing structures. Lives are literally on the line, and no amount of lowered standards or political correctness should ever compromise that reality. In the end, competence and strength, not quotas or appearances, determine whether someone can truly protect the public.
Shouldn't be a firefighter. You shouldn't be a firefighter if you can't carry someone out of a building. If you can't run up a flight of stairs because you're 260 pounds and 5'7" and a woman. No, you shouldn't be a firefighter. You should have to be in like really good shape to be now, if you're some fucking CrossFit game lady who's some beast, I'm like, yeah, that lady could be a firefighter.
The DNC has practically mastered the art of forcing squares into round holes, placing people in positions of power they're woefully unqualified to handle, all in the name of woke DI programs. Instead of prioritizing competence, they elevate individuals to check boxes and virtue signal, leaving the public to deal with the fallout. The results are everywhere. Doctors more focused on political correctness than prescribing life-saving medication. Pilots who may look good on a recruitment brochure, but can't handle an emergency landing when lives are at stake. Politicians who fill the airwaves with rehearsed nonsense, yet crumble when faced with real problems. It's a culture of appearances over ability, ideology over expertise. And while the DNC pats itself on the back for being inclusive, everyday Americans are left with leaders and professionals who can't do the very jobs they were entrusted with.
Even guys. Like, if you're a guy and you're fucking scrawny and you never work out and all you do is smoke cigarettes, maybe you shouldn't be a firefighter. You know, maybe you can't get up that fucking flight of stairs either. It should be like, it's a physical job where you're rescuing people. You have to be able to physically carry people. You have to rescue them. Firefighters, when I was a kid, were the fucking big, brutal men.
Beast. Kicking down doors.
Fucking houses. They looked like former football players. There was this guy I used to play pool with, Ray the Fireman, because everybody in the pool hall, I was Joe the Comedian. Everybody had a nickname based on what you did. Ray the Fireman was a fucking house. He was just this big fucking, like, big Irish guy.
And this principle applies even more to key professions, roles where there's absolutely no room for incompetence. Ultimately, you must be intelligent, capable, and well-trained to effectively handle these responsibilities, regardless of your race, gender, or background. Take surgeons, for instance. One wrong move in the operating room, and a patient's life is over. Or airline pilots. When an engine fails midair, you don't want someone hired for diversity points. You want the sharpest, calmest professional at the controls. The same goes for military commanders making split-second decisions in combat, or nuclear engineers managing facilities where a small mistake could trigger catastrophe. In these professions, excellence isn't optional, it's survival. Lowering the bar for the sake of political agendas not only insults true professionals, but also puts innocent lives in danger. Skill, intelligence, and merit must always come first. At the end of the day, California under Newsom is a warning sign of what happens when woke policies, misplaced priorities, and DI-driven incompetence take over. From rising homelessness and crippling bureaucracy to unqualified leaders and collapsing industries, the state has become a cautionary tale. America doesn't need more experiments and failure. It needs leaders and professionals chosen for merit, strength, and vision, not political agendas. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed our spicy commentary, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this.